Welcome to Kardec Radio. While you wait for our program to begin, check our new site. It's Kardec Flix, where Spiritism is just a click away. Also, check our publisher, Kardec Publisher, and its first 6 books. Each one is a journey to inner empowerment and love. Kardec Radio, where we nourish ourselves daily.
Welcome, dear friends, to Kardec Radio in another What is Spiritism by Allan Kardec. You and I are here with the sole purpose of studying this book. I know, and you know, that people are interested in easy 30-second posts on TikTok and Instagram, shorts on YouTube, reels everywhere. But you know, how can we ever really build a solid foundation in 30-second anything? We can't. It's just for passing entertainment. For real, solid, immortal construction, we need moments like this, in which we pause everything and we enjoy a good reading, one that will open our minds for immortality. Talking about immortality today, as we're almost at the end of this book, and I have it right here in my phone. If you don't have the book, download, actually buy the Kindle version, the ebook version at Amazon, and get this on your phone. We are talking today about the soul. Did you know you are a soul? Yes, what does that mean? Kardec defined it, an incarnate spirit. So, in the technical terms of Spiritism, soul is an incarnate spirit. If they are discarnated, they are spirits. So we are all spirits. The only difference is that soul is one that is incarnated. So if you say, oh, I saw the soul of my father who passed away. No, you didn't. You saw the spirit. The soul is incarnated. Does this matter? Yes, because Spiritism is a science. And as any science, it has specific terminology. Did you know that in the Medium's book, Kardec published a whole chapter that he called the glossary? The terminology that are specific to the Spiritist science. And if we want to be apprentices of Spiritism, we need to know that terminology. Today, to talk about these specific questions and answers about the existence of the soul, we'll have a group of friends, and you'll be delighted. We'll start from south to north, okay? So south is Sheyne Martin. You know her. Hi, Sheyne, how are you?
Hi, Vanessa. Thank you for having me here today. I'm joyful and excited to talk to the friends that we're going to meet soon.
We're happy to see you here. People know you, the president founder of the Spiritist Society of Richmond. You are also Kardec Radio's host. You have programs, especially on Tuesdays, right?
Yes, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right before Carol.
Yes, and especially the program about the Spiritist magazine that we simply adore. It's so special. Thank you so much, Sheyne, for making time to be here with us today, talking about the book. Just briefly before I call the others, what does this book represent to you?
This has been one of those foundational books that everybody should read, because not only you get the basic notions, but you also learn from Kardec how to have a conversation with those who are alike, who know of this, and those who are not aware of Spiritism. So the first part, you have the discussion he has with different folks, arguing different points of view, and then you can simply, we're going to start in question 108, but then you have 100 and some questions where if someone is new, this is an easy read. And as you saw, no excuse, we can have it everywhere we go, waiting in the drive-through, getting our coffee, doing whatever people are doing. So it represents the foundation, just learning about Spiritism as someone who did not grow up Spiritist, until I met you and some other folks, including our next one of our guests in Baltimore. So it is full circle, come back to the beginnings.
Yes, you're right. Talking about that, we're going north now from South Virginia, Richmond, South Virginia, all the way to where we are here in Northern Virginia, and then Maryland, United States. Alba Morales from the Spiritist
Hello,
Society of Baltimore. How are you?
Baltimore. Yes.
Oh, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Vanessa. Very excited, very happy to be here. It's wonderful to share with you, with Sheyne, with the next speaker. And as Sheyne said, definitely this is a solid foundation if we want to go to learn, to start learning, and then go deeper. So yeah, that's all what I have to say.
The interesting part about all of us who are coming here, we're all educators. So
Yeah.
professional lives. So I think that for us, there is a particular pleasure on reading and studying this book, right, Alba?
That's right.
All right. And Alba has also been one of the hosts of Prayer for Peace every Friday at 6 p.m. She's
Yes.
there religiously delivering a beautiful topic, usually by Joana de Angelis from Happy Life,
Yes.
right?
Yes. We are in this goal of covering Happy Life. Happy Life is a small book with 200 chapters, and each chapter is like a less than a page.
Yes.
So we are in this goal of covering the whole 200 chapters. We are in chapter 71 tomorrow, actually.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So I know you've been to the program. Now we're going to bring Marco Magalhaes, who is the president of the Toronto Spiritist Society. Welcome, Marco.
Yay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind introduction.
Yes, and the beautiful family. People at Kardec Radio know from since its beginnings. I remember when I was there
Yep,
before you had children, when you,
exactly.
Boys Carlos, and I talked about the possibility of you guys doing a program. I'll never forget Spiritism in
Yep,
our lives, right?
correct. Yes.
And it's still there for people to listen at
Yeah.
Kardec Radio. And now with 3 kids,
3 kids. Yeah.
a dog,
Yep.
and 2 jobs, yours and Joyce,
And hanging
plus
in there.
the job.
And then the most important job.
Yeah, you said it all. Mark, it's so good to have you here. I know you've been to the program before,
Yep.
and this book, you've mentioned before how important it is for you. So let's begin, friends. Kardec, throughout this book, What Spiritism, he summarizes the main tenets of the book. He talks to people who don't know what it is about, and he shows to us his seriousness. Kardec would not allow people to come to the Spiritist Society of Paris and do whatever they like. And say, oh, can I enter the meeting? No, no, you can't. You have to study first, he said. First. And one of the topics to study is about the soul. It seems trivial, but you know what's interesting? Many people don't have the same understanding about what the soul is all about. So at the very beginning, he says that the seat of the soul is not located in any part of the body. So according to Kardec, to the understanding of the highest spirits, we are multidimensional beings. We, as we say, the soul, we are not in the body because it's not the same dimension. We're connected to the body through the spiritual body, the perispirit that envelops it. And that spiritual body is connected molecule by molecule with the physical body. Why is it important for us? So I'd like to ask you, Sheyne, what caught your attention when Kardec talks about this different understanding about the soul?
Yes, I was thinking about the part that he says it irradiates outward. So it's in and out. So we can start, because when we think about, you know, we look at each other, we see the physical body, we see the things around us that look so real and so substantial and solid. But then we go down to the fundamentals. We're just, atoms and vibrations. So it helps people to understand that they are more than the physical. And then we are interacting with one another through these radiations, which is another thing that we don't think about, connecting through thinking, because he talks about the soul acting upon the organs of thought and sentiment. So as we go about our day, doing the things that we have to do as an incarnate spirit in this physical body of the earth, then we can think about more than just what I do, but what I do in the context of where I live and how I affect the other people around me, and inversely, how they affect me.
Mhm.
And people are just going about their days, scrolling away on reels,
Yeah.
not thinking about the importance of, yes, the body's here, it's physical, it's of the physical composition of the earth. We should care for it, but as well, we should care for the soul, our thoughts. How am I presenting, right? We always have this importance of, because we could study, but Kardec always studied for application. Because study for study we have everywhere. We can study books and books, but like, how can I use this knowledge to improve my life and the life of others? Not just my life, because then it's selfish, but like, if I improve myself, society gets better by the sum of all of us. So as we go about our days, we can use this knowledge to impact others positively and prevent us from being impacted negatively, right?
And that's exactly what Sheyne is saying, is what Kardec is bringing to us in the next question, the implications of this knowledge. So Alba, in question and answer 109, he asks if the soul is created at the same time as the body or before. And he says that the implication of it brings solution of most important consequences, topics that we're talking about nowadays. Some people find it very sensitive, but if politicians can talk about it, we should talk about it, because it's not a political matter, it's about life.
Mhm.
So when we talk about abortion, yes, people are free to choose what they want to do. There is no doubt of it. People are free. The question is, are there consequences, Alba?
Big consequences. And let us go a step back, Vanessa, in case someone is just watching the program, they haven't read previously the other chapters of the book. So in order to understand this concept, or if the soul was created at the same time like the body, it is important for us to understand that when we don't have a physical body, as you say, we are spirits. And as spirits, we were created thousands of years ago We were created simple and ignorant. Ignorant in the sense that we don't know the laws of God. However, they are imprinted in our conscience, as the Spirit book is telling us. What we're trying to say here is we are before we are, right? Before I am Alba or Marco or whoever we identify now, we have a long story of different reincarnations using the bodies, the different bodies, like a dress that we needed for 50, 80, 12 years, whoever is needed, and then the dress go back to Mother Nature, to Mother, and then we return to the spirit realm. This all to say, we are not created at the same time. There is no logic about it. It won't be possible. Now, going back to the topic of abortion, then in the spirit realm, because remember, we have different dimensions. So there is the dimension of the spirit. There is a team, there are many teams of spirits that their plan help us to plan our reincarnations, seeing what is better for us to learn, right? To achieve in X number of years, 80 years, let us put it that way. So therefore, once the decision is made that we are going to reincarnate, and through this mother and through this father, biological mother and biological father, then the spirit start having a connection with that little tiny body that is impregnated in conception. Right there, right away, there is a strong tie. And as Vanessa expressed it earlier, we are connected molecule by molecule. It's a very complicated process. So when a baby is in the 3rd week, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, there is already a spirit being connected to that body with a lot of plans and a lot of dreams of achieving what he or she couldn't achieve in previous reincarnations. So then when the mother or whoever decides to stop that physical, biological life, it's like cutting all these connections all of a sudden, very violently, aggressively. And what happened with the spirit? It's like just think about you are preparing yourselves to go to a very, very exciting trip, a cruise. And you buy the tickets and the clothes and you take the days off and you plan. And this is very minimal what I'm saying. It's a simple example. But then what if you are in the port and the ship already depart? It's not there. How are you going to go to the place you want to go? How are you going to enjoy what you want to enjoy? How are you going to accomplish that? And then there is a lot of suffering for that speeding, sometimes resentment, there is frustration, there is a lot of emotions. And what happened is that mother that thought that the problem was fixed or whoever, because there are different circumstances for that, friends, right? How an abortion is coming about. But then the mother is going to feel the consequences of that action because there is a communication thought to thought. So the spirit is sad, is frustrated, it has resentment. That mother is going to feel it inside of her through her life. And again, I want to highlight again, Vanessa, we have free will. We decide what we wanted to decide. And it's case by case, but it is important to know that this is not a light matter. That is not. We are disposing a future body. Basically, we are disposing a human being, an entire being with intelligence and emotions and sentiments.
Exactly. Much of the mental illnesses that are going around are consequences of choices, the choices of the people. The law of freedom exists, it's divine. We're not discussing the freedom of anybody. We're just discussing the facts. For every action, there is a reaction, there is a consequence. Talking about that, Kardec, Marco, in question 112 onwards, he starts something of the most fascinating parts of this book. He asked, did God create all souls morally and intellectually equal? Or did God create some more perfect and intelligent than others? I think this is in one of the most consequential tenets of Spiritism that can change our lives, as Sheyne said at the beginning, completely. Marco, what do you think about the answer that Kardec brought to us?
So, Vanessa, yeah, you're right. I agree. This is such an interesting question. And so when you look at it, obviously, if we all understand and believe that God is perfect, right? So we started with that principle that is immutable and it's perfect, right? Then, the idea of a favoritism, right, as Kardec presents, it would be really against the core element of how we describe God. So that would be like a very antagonic idea, which would not make sense, right? So if you think about it as a father, right, or father mother, like a figure that represents some sort of relationship with spirit, yeah, we would like our kids or our family, right, to have equal and same opportunities, right? So the idea of a favoritism would be very much in line with what we think with our very limited capacity of understanding the world, right? But not what God, as a creator, God would be able to think. So yeah, so no, everybody's created exactly the same. And Kardec is very clear and also gives an example, like why would God, he says, like impose some sort of less or more labor, right, to one individual in order to achieve happiness, right? And if the happiness is directly proportional to the moral evolution of the spirit, then we're all going to get there. So by definition, we should all be happy, right? So that's the goal, isn't it? Like everybody's going to be doing it. So let's do it and help each other at the same time, which is part of the idea that we're all learning with that, right? So, this is a very nice philosophical component. But one interesting thing about this one is if you look, if you look at available research and people ask, in different countries, like the United States obviously has a lot of data on it. So say, do you believe in soul, right? Actually, like an incredible over 80% of people will respond yes, right? And one thing that's kind of interesting is that it doesn't seem like the religious background of the individual makes a big difference. So almost all religions will actually believe in some sort of principle, right, that is beyond matter. So going back to what we discussed earlier, right, this is one of the principles that is ingrained in our creation, right, as a spirit, is that, yeah, there's something more than the matter that you see, right? Now we see it different, we call it different, and we do different, the interpretation is always different, but it is actually one of the rare unifying elements, right, of us as humanity, right? So much so that if you think, I'll read about Kardec now, Kardec is actually telling us a whole new level of information, right? As we're talking about, not only, yes, we're created the same, we have the same opportunities, we're created way before this body's created, like everything he goes through. And most importantly, if you think back to the first question he addressed, is that, not only that, but it is completely, it goes completely beyond what your body is. And I think why he starts with that, because as you know, like us as humans, we have a tendency to associate the human image or figure to things that we can't explain. Like, for example, God has some sort of a male, old male kind of figure, right, for many people. So the same way, so people would attach the soul, right, to some sort of a bodily figure, right? And I think that's how he started with that. He said, listen, everything you think you know about this is actually, it's kind of different, so I really like the way, as an educator, as you mentioned before, right, he goes through kind of these little baby steps, right? Okay, everybody, book page 1. Let's talk about, the soul is not just your body, like first, right? And second, it is not created at the same time, So I really like the way he puts it. Yeah.
Nice. It's like a quiz.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's like one
Right.
baby step after the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Alba. You want to say something about the quiz?
Yes, I want to interject because Marco, you were talking about it, and I was thinking about the movie Soul,
Yeah.
the Disney
Yeah.
movie. It is so interesting how they capture
Yeah.
somehow the concept, because when the guy falls, you know, he's
Yeah.
dead. Actually, his soul, right, is
Yeah.
disconnected from the body, but then the spirit, it does is not the same.
That's,
Like the body has resemble, it has some shape.
yeah.
And then the mentors and the spirits in the spirit realm, or the spirit, they don't have like a human shapes. They are kind of a Picasso things,
Yeah.
trying, uh, which is very interesting. I love the concept there. Yes. So if you want a visual image,
Yes.
so,
That's a
The
great connection. Yeah, exactly. I love that movie too. You know, it's like,
mhm.
Yes, I agree. And it's interesting because God created us equal, but then we see diversity. This is so striking. He wrote this in 1859 when people didn't care about diversity. Kardec is so ahead of his time. He knows diversity is so important, but he wants to understand where it comes from. And then he says that it is the consequence of the progress that the soul accomplished before its union with the body in this new life. So even within a family, siblings, so different. Same parents, same household, so different. Why? Different experiences from previous lives. Now, okay. He says now to us in this area about our possibilities, our aptitudes, right? He's going to say, souls more advanced in intelligence and morality are those who lived longer and progressed more prior to their incarnation. Sheyne, since at the beginning you talked about how this knowledge can change our lives, I think this would make envy and jealousy disappear from the earth, don't you think?
Yes, because okay, my mute. Okay, I was thinking about it in a sense of this radiation, but also individuality. Like we were an individual, we're separate from one another. We're not gonna go back and be part of God, which is another misconception sometimes we have. And then we have this ability of understanding, especially if you look like the James Webb's telescope and Hubble. God is still creating worlds, matter, beings. So the beings that are created today, they
Yes.
don't have the millenary experience that we have. So we should know more than those who are younger, just like on Earth, right? A
Yes.
1 year old knows less than an 80 year old, hopefully, if everything goes right. And then you have this God is so good that brings us together, individual, diverse, to experience what we need to experience in this life. So we have short, tall, large, big, black, white, all in between. And then the experience that we have is the one that we need. And that's another thing that we sometimes have difficulty understanding when we are in the midst of the difficulties. But also, it could be that we can accelerate a little bit. Previous lives, we didn't know, so we did a little bit more dumb than we do today. It's ignorance, it's lack of knowledge. So we have a weight to the consequences different than once we know we have to do better and go a little bit faster in this life, and the next life we go a little bit faster. And that's one of the reasons why it's hard for people to commit, because once you know, and then you can't
Yes.
go back to the scrolling away. Yeah, my body, my this, me, mine, freedom. And you're like, well, your parents said yes to you, right? Someone said yes to us. And as you said, we are individual. He says here, individuality, self-awareness before reincarnation. We're all individuals, some more self-aware than others in this life. And even within the day, we have those moments where we are a little bit more aware. And then we have to say yes to learning more, faster, because we progress faster.
Yeah.
If we decide to stay on the earth because the earth is progressing too, is the earth is like the individuality and the diversity. How boring it would be if you go to the, I don't know, the school in the morning, everybody looks like you.
Yeah.
There's no flower, and even flowers within a family. Like if you go to there's a blooming azalea here right outside our center. None of them look the same, even though they're all azaleas, and I guess they're purple now or pink. So we have to look outside and nature and be like, nature, imagine all the birds are the same, all the trees are the same. So even they're having their experience of evolution. And then when we think of these, it's hard, it's simple to talk, and it's very hard on a daily basis as we go about the day to apply. But that's what we learn today, and we go to the spiritual realm tonight and we sleep over it. We consolidate those memories. And then to next day, we're supposed to do something wrong or not in accordance with the divine laws. And the mentors are like, come on, you were Kardec radio last night, do better.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
right. And okay, so the thing is this. Since we are always progressing, as Shane is reminding us, this growth mindset, Alba, you are an educator. It's one of the things we hear the most nowadays, growth mindset, growth mindset, growth mindset. But it's not only for children, it's for all of us. Kardec is going to say in the last questions of this part of the book about when we do the progress. The main idea is it's certain that we progress always, never regress, right?
Yes, and there are key points for that. One is free will, and the other one is willpower. So we progress as much as we want, as long as we persevere, as long as we have a goal. So, like everything in life, I want to learn how to ride a bike, but I'm going to sit in my house and just watch YouTube videos to ride the bike. Well, you actually need to go out and try it and fall and get all the scratches everywhere and suffer and have pain, but you keep going. And eventually you will be a master riding the bike because you wanted to do it, because no one is imposing this to you. And this is the important part in learning, because there is a misconception, even in the schools, universities, and institution that is teaching that the students are there because they are obliged to be there. There is a mandate to be there, but they actually, no, it depends of them. Even a 4-year-old going to pre-K, there is a chance and it's an opportunity. But we're not going to talk about 4 or 5-year-old kids because they are eager to learn, to discover the world, to try, to taste, to experience. So learning, friends, it is a lifelong task. And when we say lifelong task, it's forever before and after this physical body. So when we talk about, actually, and I'm sorry to make a pause here, actually the other day I was watching this video of a 90-year-old gentleman that he completed his doctorate in engineer something. So he couldn't do it when he was in his 40s or 50s for so many reasons, but he really wanted. So he put his mind of that, and he said, I'm going to do it. So he graduated as a doctor. And people may say, well, you are 90 years old. Where are you going to get a job as a doctor and engineer? What are you going to do? Just go home and wait for death. Well, actually, no. He lived. He's learning for the next round. And it is important for us also to understand that when we are learning, we need to learn about everything. Who says this? Remind me, friends. Is in the Spirit book? Is Joanna de Angelis? Sometimes I get, but we need to learn about everything, about how to cook, whatever it is, and about how the stars move in the sky, and psychology and philosophy, and to dance salsa, everything, because everything is going to enrich our individuality, our personality, and everything is useful for us. So free will is helping us to choose what direction we wanted to go through, but actually it's the willpower of waking up earlier, of standing late at night, of working 2 jobs. But anyways, I have my book here in my phone, and my break, I'm going to do it. There are so many beautiful stories of college graduates, of people that is struggling very, very hard, but they accomplish their goals because they have the willpower. And when we have the willpower, we will have also the help and the assistance of the good spirits. Because for any positive or high endeavor, we will have this team. Friends, it's not like a one or two, it's a team cheering us up and say, you can do it. Go for it, inspiring us, respecting our decisions, but helping us to go into the journey. So we are not alone. So it depends of our connections, right? It depends of what we want. To spend the whole night, 5 hours in TikTok, just numbing ourselves because it seems like it's like a drug, right? To avoid whatever issue we have, and that's another story. Or I don't know, we want to read, we want to start trying to play something. So learning is a journey that is for us to embrace for the rest of our lives as a souls now that we are incarnated, and as a spirit going forward. If we want to become like a high evolved role model like Jesus, what do you think? He started somewhere before us, as Sheyne mentioned. Probably when he was already an evolved spirit, we were just created. But we can follow that lead, and we can follow his steps. It's a
Yes.
matter of wanted to do it.
Yes. Thank you, Alba. We want to address, and if Marco want to help us addressing this comment by the viewer Jason Ness. One of the comments, the first one is saying that our entire universe is God. God is not a sky daddy that we're separate from. We're all a fractalization of the. I understand the feeling of our connection with God, but in Spiritism, we don't understand we're part of God. Right, Marco? You want to address this?
Yeah, I can address that. So, I mean, it's a very good question, actually. I think it's probably one that a lot of people, even in Spiritism, I would say, have sometimes a hard time to understand. But Kardec actually explains it very nicely, like in Spirit's book, when he talks about God, which is the first part of the book, right? He explains to us that, when you think about like an artist, right, creating a piece of work, like a painting, like the one you see behind me, right? You can actually see this painting. You can actually see the creator on it, right? You can see the style. You can see the qualities, right? You can see the characteristics, right? But we wouldn't say that the painting is actually the creator himself, right? In the Spiritism, the concept of God is pretty much the same. We actually don't know what God is, right? We describe it with basic terminology that the spirits allowed us to understand, which is He's perfect. God is perfect, immutable, all powerful, all kind, have all the characteristics of it, and creates basically everything in the universal cosmic fluid and the intelligent principle that we're part of, right? We are according to question 76 of Spirit's book, we are the intelligent beings of the universe, but we're actually not the creator, right? So that's the same concept, right? So we can see God in the creation, even in ourselves, right? But we're not necessarily part of, we are not God, but we're connected to it, of course. Like, we are connected intensely because God being the creator, right? We are all co-creators of this universe as intelligent beings, right? So we work in a way together in this harmonious development of what the universe is, right? So I think that kind of summarizes it.
Yes, you're right. As we wrap up, Kardec wraps up this part of the What Spiritism by saying that we will progress in successive lives, and the soul in successive lives, the spirit, then the incarnate spirit, the soul will progress. So every life we are here is for profound transformations. If we lose sight of it, we will repeat the same mistakes because of old conditionings. In this life, we're learning new responses for the same old problems we've had in previous lives. So, to understand further, in the next 2 weeks, we will unfold what Kardec lays out as human beings during their life on earth and after death. So he'll go deeper into how this progress happens in life and in between lives after death. For now, as we need to wrap up, would like to go another round, asking you, friends, to bring your conclusion for this study of the soul according to Spiritism. Sheyne, would you like to begin, please?
I would encourage everybody to see themselves, to feel themselves. Like when you look in the mirror, say, I am here. I am this soul. I'm here to learn. See yourself as more than the physical, more than what is the environment and the culture telling us that we are, that we need, that we want. Because we want to detach ourselves from just going through the motions of the senses and taking care of the basic needs. And just looking ourselves as this, I am an individual, I'm unique, I am immersed in God's love, as Leon Denis says. God is the center, of this love that permeates and keeps everything together. And my presence on the earth is important. We want to stay, we want to persevere, we want to grow, no matter what the difficulties are. And we are on this together. So each soul, all the 8 billion plus that we have, plus our friends in other realm, we are here to fulfill the law of society. That is what I have to offer through my progress at this time, complements what everybody else has to offer. One day I'll be a superior spirit like Jesus and I'll know everything to create a planet. But today we are here, humble, still simple, less ignorant, less, lack of knowledge, more knowledgeable. But knowing that we matter for, September yellow. We matter. We want to stay here. We want to look out for one another and really see ourselves in more than the physical.
Yes, Shane. By the way, as our friend Jason S brings that interesting question, we about God in us, we agree we're so viscerally connected with God, for sure, in the sense, as Andre Luis says in the book, Mechanisms of Mediumship and Repeats in the Evolution into Worlds. We're like fish in the ocean of God's breath. There you go. I think we're speaking the same language, just probably in different terms, right? So, Alba, please lead us into your conclusion. Thank you, Shane.
Yes. But by was to connect your idea with the chapter 71 of Happy Life. Joanna de Angelis starts saying, we are all immersed in God's love, in the ocean of God's loves. So yes, we're like a little fish. My conclusion is, let us love ourselves, not because of not only because of this physical body, which is great and is perfect no matter how it is. It is perfect for our purposes of reincarnation. But let us embrace our true selves, which is the soul. And we have been walking a long path. We have been undergoing even more difficult situations, trials, and tribulations that we are going through right now. So let us acknowledge ourselves like these millennium souls or millennium spirits doing an internship in this planet that was created as a school of souls. My call is for, let us love ourselves and accept ourselves the way we are, because this current reincarnation is the best version of each one of us.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Marco.
Oh, Vanessa, as you know, I tend to, have a very scientific approach to things. As you know, that's my work, that's my job, right? So when I think about soul, right, and all the amazing things that Alba and Shane brought to us, I also think about the fact that we can't actually tell what it is. Like, we can't, right? We have principles that guide us to understand what it is, but physically, scientifically, materially speaking, there's no way to define what it is, right? Why is it so hard? Because it is us, right? So, like, how do you define an individual? Try to do this exercise. Try to think about, how would you describe yourself. It's actually not as easy as a lot of people think. Because it is something very challenging, because, as Kardec mentions in this part of the book, and so and then in question 76 of the Spirits book, he'll say, we're soul or spirits, in that case, are the intelligent beings of creation, right? So we are, so souls, like that we are. So it's the intelligence. It's not a physical principle. It does not derive from the same matter of our body. So this is completely different in the creation, right? But why is that important? Because if you think about it, our soul connects a lot more, as Kardec mentions, to thoughts and emotions than to physicality, right? So that, again, helps us explain a lot about who we are, as our sentiments and our, as we are here, right? Or what we think of, not what we do, right? And then we combine those in evolution, right? So thinking about it, I would say, if there's something that I would like to think about in the next few days, let's put it this way, it would be to just to if everybody can actually think about us as an existence, right? As Alba and Shane mentioned, but not as a physical body only, as we mentioned, but also as something that it is beautiful, it is intelligent, it is perfect in the development of creation, and it will achieve perfection with a lot of effort. But understanding that the soul is basically us, right? That's it, right? So I mean, if you think about that and understand that that's who we are, right? Beyond everything we can see, that makes it easier for us to start to grasp some of these more abstract concepts about how to evolve, right? I think that's a more scientific view of things. Yeah.
Yep. It's amazing. As I am going through this journey, as Alba said, the journey of the soul, take home messages, as we all highlighted here. One, we're divine. 2, we always progress, never regress. 3, we're all equal, though different in our already grown potentialities. So there is so much for us to be happy for life, for our days. As Sheyne highlighted, this month of September, the world stops to talk about the awareness of how precious life is. And often people feel discouraged about continue living because they are not understanding the displeasures and setbacks in life. But we in Spiritism, we have a new way of interpreting it. And love, as our friend Jason Ness says here, is the force that expands our consciousness. Of course, it is.
Yeah.
So we want to thank everybody who joined us. Unfortunately, we have to say that some of our Facebook channels, 4 of them, are not connected. As we said in the morning, Facebook has been having some technical issues, but we hope as soon as this is resolved at their end, people will be able to resume and watch it with us. But this video stays mainly in our platform at YouTube, Kardec Radio. Kardec Radio YouTube, that's how they say, right? All right. So thank you, Alba. Thank you, Sheyne. Thank you, Marco. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing so much your love for Spiritism. I can feel it from afar, your love for this science of the soul. People talk about masters, PhD, and everything. You know, the most important is this knowledge about immortality, friends.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, every instruction is important, as Alba said, but the most important one is about ourselves. So thank you so much. Next week, we'll come back deepening our knowledge about human life on Earth. And as Sheyne said at the beginning, Alba reinforced and Marco Magalhaes exemplified the implications of these teachings transform our lives. So we hope you come back. And if you have any question, feel free to send an email to kardecradio@gmail.com. Thank you, friends. We wish you many blessings. Until next time.
Welcome to Kardec Radio. While you wait for our program to begin, check our new site. It's Kardec Flix, where Spiritism is just a click away. Also, check our publisher, Kardec Publisher, and its first 6 books. Each one is a journey to inner empowerment and love. Kardec Radio, where we nourish ourselves daily.